When Daniel opened the door, he wasn't prepared for what would come next. He had been nervous all day, fixing the living room twice, setting the table though they were supposed to meet at a restaurant, and rehearsing what he might say. Being a single dad, his life had revolved around his daughter for years. Dating again felt foreign, almost impossible, but something in him whispered to take the chance. And then she arrived, soft smile, gentle eyes, a little late but worth the wait. But before he could even greet her properly, she leaned closer, her voice trembling, and whispered, "My kids are in the car." That one sentence froze him, turned his heartbeat into thunder. Suddenly, this wasn't just a blind date. This was a moment that could change everything. Daniel forced himself to breathe, stepping aside as he glanced toward the driveway. Through the windshield of a worn-out minivan, two small silhouettes were visible, tiny faces pressed against the glass, curiosity painted across their eyes. His mind spun. He thought of his own daughter upstairs, coloring, unaware that her father's whole world might be about to shift. This wasn't what he expected, but maybe, just maybe, it was what he needed. He smiled faintly, gesturing for her to bring them in, unsure but open. Because life, he knew, rarely gave second chances, and sometimes love showed up with more than just one heart. Daniel hadn't been on a date in years. Every morning began with the alarm clock, school lunches, ponytails that he never managed to tie neatly, and sleepy car rides filled with his daughter's chatter. He wasn't lonely exactly, his little girl filled his life with more love than he thought possible, but late at night, when the house grew still, the silence pressed too heavy. Friends kept nudging him to try again, to open himself up. That's how he ended up agreeing to this blind date, though his palms had sweated ever since. He never imagined the woman standing at his doorstep would carry a story so close to his own. Her name was Emily. Her smile faltered as she explained, almost apologetically, that she hadn't been able to find a babysitter. She thought about canceling, but something told her to come anyway. Daniel saw the way her hands shook slightly, the same kind of nervousness he carried. And in that moment, he recognized her courage. Because being a single parent wasn't just about raising kids, it was about carrying scars, fears, and still daring to hope again. The kids shuffled in hesitantly, clinging to their mother's side. Daniel crouched low, meeting their eyes, introducing himself gently. He wasn't sure why, but the laughter that bubbled out of those children when his daughter ran down the stairs felt like sunlight pouring into a room long kept dark. The two families collided awkwardly, yet naturally, like puzzle pieces that didn't seem to fit until suddenly they did. Dinner was no longer a quiet evening but a table filled with giggles, spilled juice, and stories that made them all forget the weight they carried. As the night deepened, Daniel and Emily talked in low tones while the children played on the carpet. They spoke of late nights with sick kids, of loneliness, of guilt and exhaustion, but also of pride, the kind only single parents truly understood. Their eyes met, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt seen, really seen. He realized he wasn't alone anymore, not in this moment. When Emily gathered her kids to leave, her voice cracked as she whispered, "Thank you for not shutting the door." Daniel stood at the threshold, heart pounding, his daughter tugging at his hand as if to say she approved. He watched Emily's van pull out of the driveway, headlights fading, but something inside told him this wasn't goodbye. It was the beginning. Because sometimes the most unexpected knocks on the door carry the answers we've been praying for. And sometimes love doesn't arrive perfect or polished, it arrives with kids in the car, with messy laughter, and with a chance to start again.